Okay, we are live. If there is anybody in the chat section, please let me know if I am audible or not. Just give me a quick thumbs up in the chat section so that I'll know everything is fine with my stream. So, and we can start our today's session. And in today's session, we are going to discuss about K nearest neighbors, and we are going to do 5 or 6 questions based on KNN algorithm, which are of gate level. Okay, thank you guys. Thanks, Archana. Okay. Guys, at any point of time, if you face any doubt, just let me know in the chat section, right? And let me just wait for 1 minute so that more students will gather, and then we'll start the session. Okay, so guys, previously we have worked on bias variance trade-off, and then we have discussed the regularization technique, right? So we have discussed how we are going to make balance between overfitting and underfitting, or I can say that how we can find out balance between variance and bias, right? How do the trade-off between these two? So we have discussed that. Now in this session, we are going to discuss about K nearest neighbor. All of you have heard about this algorithm, right? So we are going to discuss about this algorithm, and we'll see that why this algorithm is called lazy learning technique, and what type of question we can expect from this topic in exam, right? Okay, so anybody knows what we do in KNN? KNN is a classification algorithm. This thing everybody knows. Anything else you guys know about KNN other than that? So let's start with a basic example. Let's suppose we have some data. We have IQ and we have percentage, right? So we have students IQ and student percentage, and corresponding to that, I am getting the student is placed or not. That means either I'll get 1 or either I'll get 0. 1 or 0, I'll get these kind of. 1 means that students get placed, and 0. Varaprasad is saying you are communicating with us, but why not others responding to our questions? Which questions? I don't know. Do you have any question, Varaprasad? Okay, other live sessions we are having, because in those sessions we are having at our center as well. We have offline crowd, so I think they are interacting with this, and we have having these sessions with Zoom batch as well. So that's why I think they are not responding, but I'll let my team know, right? So they will communicate with you. Okay, I'll let the team know about this problem. Okay, so guys, we have this data set IQ, percentage and place. So with corresponding to IQ and percentage, we are getting the students is getting placed or not. So what I am trying to do here, let's suppose we have some IQ. Let's suppose students score 78%, and it's let's suppose students got 92%, and his IQ or her IQ is something 101, right? This is the IQ. So corresponding to that, we are getting the student is getting placed or not, right? So what is happening here? What would I do? I'll plot this IQ and percentage on the 2D axis. So let's suppose I place these IQ and percentage. So these are the points in my data set, right? So I have plotted this data set IQ and percentage. I have done nothing else. The students who got placed, I have used for that this O sign, and the students who doesn't get placed, I have used a cross sign. Let's suppose we get a query. What do I want to do? Let's suppose I got one student in which I know that student IQ and that student percentage. Corresponding to that, I just want to know that that particular student get placed or not. So because of the previous data, based on this previous data, I want to know that this new students gets placed or not. So how do I get to know that? How do I get to know that this new student gets placed or not? So what would I do? Let's say I have this green color mark and I'm saying this triangle, right? So I'm saying this triangle sign and I want to specify this triangle sign to a 0, right? 0 means students get placed and cross means that student doesn't get placed. I want to classify this sign, classify this student, that this student gets placed or not. Now let's come to this algorithm. What this says the k nearest neighbor. So what you do here? You would take k nearest neighbors of that particular point, neighbors of that particular point. But the question is that how would I decide that uh, this is my neighbor, right? How do I decide neighbor, right? So let's suppose, what would I do? I'll find out that which points are closest. So I can see here that let's suppose I have to take 5 nearest neighbor. I am taking here 5 nearest neighbor, 5 nearest neighbors I am taking, right? So what would I do? I'll take these 5 nearest neighbor, right? These are the 5 nearest neighbor. Now I can see that in this neighbors I have 3 students who are not placed and 2 students are which are placed, right? So what happened here, that I have taken a neighborhood of 5 students, and in that neighborhood I have seen that 3 placed, 3 not placed, 2 placed. So I'll take that out of these two I have maximum not placed, maximum is not placed, so I'll classify this point as not placed. So this student is not placed. So now you can see that what we have done in training, we haven't done anything in training. We have, what we have done in training, we just take the data set and plot it in my graph. I have plotted that data, and now the query comes. I see that uh, at that particular point that I am getting how many neighbors. If I am getting 3 neighbors not placed, 2 placed, so I'll classify at not placed. So I'll see which in the neighborhood, what are the maximum number of students, what type of maximum numbers of students I have. If I have maximum number of students placed, then I'll classify that point as placed. If I get the students who are not placed, maximum number of students not placed, so I'll classify that point as not placed. Let me know if this thing is clear about k nearest neighbor. Just let me know, right? There are so many things in k nearest neighbor. This is a basic thing. So guys, this problem, this algorithm is called as lazy learning technique. Can anybody tell me why this algorithm is called as lazy learning technique? Lazy learning technique. Anyone in the chat section? Can anybody tell me that why this algorithm is called lazy learning technique? Because you can see that we do not have to do anything in training. We what would we do? We'll just use my query, right? I'll plot my query, basically not plot, right? What would I do? I'll see the distance of all the points with my query point and see the if I'm taking 5 nearest neighbors, so I'll take 5 closest point and I'll see that in those 5 closest points what would be the maximum number of classification. If maximum number of classification is A, then I'll classify the point as A, otherwise I'll classify the point as B. I hope this thing is clear in about k nearest neighbor. But now you would ask that how would I find out that this is here I have seen using the graph, okay, these 5 points are nearest, but how do I find out in actual that how these points are neighborhood or not? So I'll use my Euclidean distance, x2 minus x1 square plus y2 minus y1 square. That means let's suppose we have given 1 2 2 1 and 3 2. I want to find out those 2 points which are closer with each other. So what would I do? I'll find out the distance of 1 2 with 2 1 and 1 2 with 3 2. Similarly 2 1 with 1 2 and 2 1 with 3 2. And I'll see that which distance is less. I'll take that point as the closest point. Right? So what do I mean here? The distance between 1 2 and 2 1 is square root of 2, and 1 2 and 3 2 would be square root of 4, that is 3 minus 1 square, 2 minus 2 0, and this distance would be 2 minus 1 1 minus 2, and these two distance, and this distance would be 2 1 and 3 2. This distance would be 3 minus 2 and square root of 2. So that means 1 2 and is closer to 2 1 and 2 1 is closer to 3 2, but 1 2 and 3 2 are too far away from each other, right? So I have to take one nearest neighbor of this 1 2, that is 2 1. And if I have to take one nearest neighbor of 2 1, I cannot classify, either I have to take 1 2 or 2 3 2, because both are nearest neighbors. In that case, if I come up with anything like that, I can leave any of the point, I can take both the points, it's up to me. Right? So I hope you guys get the idea of k nearest neighbor. Just let me know, guys, if there is anything you didn't get it about knn. Guys, this algorithm is called as lazy learning technique because you can see that we are not doing anything in training. We do not have any model. What will we do when we have a new query? I'll see the 5 nearest neighbor or 10 nearest neighbor, the k value I'll decide. K is here hyperparameter, right? K is what? K is hyperparameter. And what is hyperparameter? Anyone knows what is hyperparameter? Hyperparameter basically models my machine learning model. What it would do, it would check, it would tell me the process, right? The learning process. It would help me to enhance the learning process, right? I can say that. Just tell me why. So why is it lazy learning technique? So let's suppose I am deciding any value k. So based on the query point, I can work on its classification. I do not have any model right now. I do not have anything. I have one query point. I'll see the distance of that query point with all the training data and see that uh, the k nearest take the k nearest neighbors, and I'll see that those k nearest neighbors have maximum category A or maximum category B. If it is k, if it is A, then I'll classify the point as A. Otherwise, I'll classify it as B. I hope this thing is clear. Just let me know, guys, if there is any confusion. Is there any question, guys? Let's just take 1 minute, and if there is any question, just ask in the chat section. Okay, let's move forward. So we have one example. Let's suppose we have this example. So we have students who have aptitude and communication marks, and in the class we have to decide their designation. Are they a speaker, or are they a leader, or they are intel? So we have three categories here. Previously we have two categories. I have taken one more example to make you understand about KNN. So you can see that Karuna has 2 marks in aptitude and communication level 5. Then we have given that student as speaker category. Bhuvna has aptitude to communication 6. Then we have given that person as a speaker category. So this is my given data. So I know that if I have a given data, I have to divide it into training data and test data, right? This is the one thing I have to do initially before training, right? So what would I do? I'll give this last value to my test data, and let's take this. So just remember, test data we have 5 and 4.5. Let me write down here. We have aptitude 5 and communication 4.5, right? So this is my test data, and the students category is intel, right? So what would I do? I'll plot this data, right? Because 2D data is easy to plot, so that's why I'm plotting. Otherwise you do not need to plot. Let's suppose we do not have any of this, we do not have this intel category. So what would I do? I'll take this 5 and 4.5. I'll find out the distance with Karuna, Bhuvna, Gaurav, Parul. I'll find out the distance with each of the points, and I'll see the closest neighbors. And once I get the, let's suppose I'm deciding the value of k is 7. So I'll take the 7 closest neighbors, or let's say if I'm deciding the value of k is 3, then I'll take 3 nearest neighbors, and I'll see that in that maximum category speaker, intel, or leader. right? So if it has speaker, maximum number of students in that category, in that neighborhood is speaker, then I'll classify this point as speaker according to my algorithm. Otherwise leader, otherwise intel, right? I hope this thing is clear. Now, so but there are two challenges ki what is the basis of similarity, or when we can say that data elements are similar. So we'll find out a distance. If the so for that I'll use a Euclidean distance, and Euclidean distance I already told you, you have to find out the distance x2 minus x1 square plus y2 minus y1 square. So that means in the previous case, if I'll go back, if I have to find out this 5 comma 4.5 distance with this Karuna, so this distance would be, Josh distance with Karuna is 5 minus 2 square plus 4.5 minus 5 square. Guys, you should understand that how to find out this distance, because there was one question in GATE 2024 which we are going to discuss, which came in GATE 2024. So this distance would be 5 minus 2 square, that is 3 square, that is 9, plus 0.5, that means 0.25. So that would become 9.25 square root. So you would get something 3.1, something like that. So you can easily solve it, right? So this distance is 3.1, and according to that you would find out this Josh distance with each of them, each of the students. And let's suppose somebody tells you to find out or you have decided the value of k as 5. So what would you do? You would take 5 closest distances, 5 students who are closer to Josh, whose distance is closer to Josh, and in that neighborhood, in those 5 people, you would check that those 5 people has maximum category for speaker, leader, or intel. According to that, you would classify Josh. Just let me know, guys, if this thing is clear. Is it clear, guys? Just let me know in the chat section, then we'll move forward. At least I'll know that you guys are getting this, because after 2-3 slides I'll ask you questions, right? Then you have to answer. So let's see. So, and how many similar, now this is a question, that how many similar elements should be considered. For the similarity basis we have taken the Euclidean distance, but how many similar elements should be considered for deciding the class label of each test data element? That means we have to find out the value for k. How I am going to decide the value of k? We are going to discuss it further, because the value of k is very important, right? We'll discuss it, that why is it so important, and changing the value of k, what effect would get on our model or our results. Okay, so let's see this. So guys, as you can see, I have plotted the students data I have, and this student is for the star mark I have done for Josh, right? The star mark is for Josh. So let's suppose I am taking here my 3 nearest neighbor. Guys, I am taking here 3 nearest neighbor. Tell me, this star would classify as speaker, leader, or intel. Tell me, guys. So you can see that if you would take 3 nearest neighbor, it would be something like that, right? I have taken 3. This one, and this one. So I have taken 3. Out of this, I have one leader, 2 intel in this neighborhood. So I have maximum is intel, so I'll classify this star as intel. And if you remember, Josh was intel, so that means algorithm is giving us right result, right? Test data, I'm getting right results using test data. Is it clear, guys? Okay, so let's move forward. Okay, so the question, guys, was previously I told you that how to decide the value of k, right? That is the most important question, because changing the value of k would change your problem, right? Would change your answer as well, right? So one is heuristic, another one is experimentation. So in heuristic, what would we do? We'll take, let's suppose we have n data points is given. n data points are given to me, and data points are given. So scientists have done some research and all, and they have decided that using heuristic, in heuristic section, what I have to take, I have to take square root of n, and that would work as my, that would work as my k value, right? So that means, let's suppose if I have 225 data points, data, then the k value would become here 15, right? So square root of k, taking the value square root of k, square root of n work as my value of k, right? Another one is experimentation. Now in experimentation, what would I do? I'll take value k is equals to 1, k is equals to 2, k is equals to 3, and I'll move like this. So let's suppose for k is equals to 1, I am getting 48% accuracy, then I am getting 58%, then 74%, and then k is equals to 4, I'll have taken, I got 85% accuracy, and then k is equals to 5, as I have taken, my accuracy is starting to get decreased, or let's suppose it increases at k is equals to 5, but k is equals to 6, it gets decreasing, it become 82%. Then k is equals to 7, it would become 72%. So as you can see that you get maximum accuracy at this k is equals to 5 point. So uh, you would finalize the value of k, that is 5. So based on the accuracy of your solution, that means, what, how do you find out the accuracy? You would use your test data to uh, check the accuracy. So you can give more than 1 point to your test data. So let's suppose we have 100 points data. So what would I do? I'll give 90 to my training and 10 to my test. So I'll check those 10 points for k is equals to 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, and at which point I'll get maximum accuracy, I'll take the value. I take that value as my k value. Is this clear, guys? Okay, so we'll move forward. When you would tell me कि this thing is fine, you would understand that कि k की value क्या होनी चाहिए. You guys get that? Just let me know. Then we'll move forward. Okay. What about other students, guys? And guys, before moving forward, please like the session so that it can reach to more students. Okay, let's move forward. Okay, so guys, you have heard this line that odd value of k is better, or we can prefer odd value as compared to even value of k. Can you tell me why? Do you have any idea about that? Or just think about it right now. Why odd value is preferred? Why I'll prefer odd value as compared to even value? Just tell me, guys. So, guys, if you, I'll see here that, let's suppose k is equals to 4, and I have to take students. I have to check that student is placed or not based on IQ and percentage. I have to find out that. So here is my percentage and here is my IQ. I got this data, right? This is my data and this is my students who are placed, right? So here what would happen? Let's suppose I have this data point here. I have this data point. Now I want to classify uh, this point as either placed or not placed. That means I want to know that this students gets placed or not. How would I get to know? I have to take k is equals to 4, 4 nearest neighborhood. So if I'll check here, I am getting 2 placed, 2 not placed, right? So when I have even number, even value k, then there may be a possibility that it gets divided into half and half. So it may be difficult for me to deciding that either I am, now I do not know which is maximum, because both are equal. So I cannot classify the point as placed, and neither I can classify as not placed. So guys, this questions asked in interviews as well, that odd value of k is preferred, right? Because we usually, or we can say that we maximum times we'll do binary classification, and in that case there may be a chances that it would get equal number of categories we get, right? Then it is difficult for us to classify that point. I hope this thing is clear, that why is odd value of k preferred over an even value. Okay, now next thing is decision surface and decision boundary. So what is a decision surface or decision boundary in KNN? Let's see. So I have taken the same data set, IQ and percentage, and we are getting student placed. This O marks shows that students are placed, and this cross mark shows that students are not placed, right? So I got this data set. So what would happen for decision boundary or decision surface? I'll form a grid here. That means I'll take so many points here. Let's take so many points and take the value of k as you want. Then these signs. Now you would see that all these signs on the left hand side, I can see that these signs classified as cross, and these right hand side, these points classified as O, right? So what would happen, I'll give all the students who are not getting placed as green color, or let's say if I'm getting students who are getting placed as red color. So if I'll take all the points possible here, and get green color, I'll give green color to students who are not getting placed, and red color to who are getting placed. So what would happen, we'll get one boundary here of red and green color, right? That would make a boundary, because any students which lies here uh, may get placed, right, because of KNN, and here student does not get placed. So what is the benefit of finding out decision boundary? Like you can see that here, if I have given the decision boundary, these are the points I which are in my training process, and I have formed a grid, and I have classified into red and blue, right? So what would happen, what is the benefit of getting a decision boundary? I do not have to rerun again. I'll see my point, this point lies in my blue section, so that means I'll classify it as blue, right? The category of blue, right? If I get one point here, I do not have to check again k nearest neighbor and all those things. I'll get my decision according to the color in that section, this point lie. So that is my decision surface, or I can say that decision boundary, right? So that is my decision surface and decision boundary. Okay, now let's discuss some limitations of KNN. So these things are very important. It doesn't matter if you have learned the algorithm, you would think that why we are discussing all these things, because you have in-depth knowledge of an algorithm to answer the questions for gate level, and you would see that we'll discuss those questions as well, right? So now the question here we have limitations of KNN, where KNN fails. So if we have a large data set, so we already have discussed that this algorithm is a lazy learning technique. I have to, there is no training process. I have to take my query data and check the distance. Let's suppose I have, uh, let's take 20,000 points in my data set. 20,000 points in my data set. And I got one new query. Now to take five nearest neighbors. To take five nearest neighbors, what I have to do, I have to find out this 1 point distance with 20,000 points. That means I have to find out distance 20,000 times. 20,000 distances I have to find out, then I have to sort, and I have to take top five nearest neighbors, and then I can check that out of those five, is it category A, category B, what it would be. right? So now you can see that this is very uh, lengthy process. So that's why it doesn't work on large data set. It would take so much time, so I do not want so much time complexity. So that's why KNN does not work on large data set. High dimensional data set. So anybody can tell me why it does not work on high dimensional data set? So the distance function, the Euclidean function, which is the main thing we are using in KNN, right? That does not work on high dimensional data set. If we have high dimensional data set, then my distance function does not work properly. So that's why KNN does not work properly. So that's why when we have high dimensional data set, then KNN does not work. Next point we have is, if we have outliers in my data set, then my KNN does not work. Why? Let's see. So let's suppose we have this data set. Right, we have this data set, and let's suppose I have outliers here cross. Right, I have this outlier. Now let's suppose I have one point here. Let's suppose I am taking the value of k as 3, and I have one point here, this one. Right, I want to classify this point. So what would happen if I'll take a 3 nearest neighbor? This would be a 3 nearest neighbor, and you can see that all the points here are all the points here are placed. But you can see here, because of this neighborhood, I can see that two students are not placed, two not placed, and one placed. So out of that I am getting maximum two not placed. So that's why this algorithm does not work on outliers. So when we have outliers in my data set, this algorithm does not work. Now next thing is non-homogeneous scales. When we have non-homogeneous scales, then this algorithm does not work. So why when we have non-homogeneous scales, uh, this algorithm does not work? So let's suppose we are taking age and salary, and you can see that uh, they are non-homogeneous, because let's suppose age is 20, then salary would be, let's suppose a person is earning 50,000 rupees monthly, right? If a person is 25, let's suppose he is earning 42,000, there may be a possibility, right? So you can see that the difference between these two, and if you would find out the distance between these two, because the salary component is too high, so it would manipulate the distance of age, right? It does not matter this age number 20 and 25, because the salary component is 20 50,000 40,000. So that's why my KNN does not work. KNN is working on distance, and here only one factor is managing the distance, right? So that's why it does not work. So what is happening here? We are going to normalize the data if we have this kind of data to use KNN, right? If we have imbalanced data set, that means there is no balance in the data. It does not work at that thing as well. And the KNN is for inference and not for prediction, right? KNN is used for inference. We cannot predict anything using KNN. We have seen that we cannot predict anything using KNN. We just inference. That means we can, if we have any query point, we can check that, we can classify that point. I hope these limitations are clear. Now, let's discuss about overfitting and underfitting in KNN. Okay, but before that, do we have, okay, let's discuss overfitting and underfitting in KNN. So, K is equals to low, that means overfitting. Why? Can you tell me that if K is low, then why we are getting overfitting? If we take the value of K too low, then we'll get overfitting. Can anybody tell me that why is that? Because let's take this data set. So the minimum value of K, what I can take the value of K is 1. right? So let's suppose this is my data set and I have taken some of the outliers in my data set, right? So let's suppose I'll take the value of k is equals to 1, because that is the minimum value possible for the knn algorithm, the k value. So what would happen, let's suppose I have one data point here, so I'll see k nearest neighbor, so this is not placed, so this is placed, so students get placed at this point. I'll take one student here, one student here, so all the students get placed here, so we'll get a grid here in which students are getting placed. But if I'll take, yeah, if I'll take here at this point, let's take this point. If I'll take a point here, if I'll take a point here, then this point, because of this outlier, we will get that students is not getting placed, right? So around this point we'll get student does not get placed. So if I try to form a decision surface, we'll get a blue color here. Similarly, at around this we'll get green color here, and we'll get blue color here. At this surface we'll get blue color, and then we'll get green color at this surface, right? So you can see that we are getting small grids in between these because of the low value of k, right? Because of the low value of k, we are getting small grids. That's not working for us. So that means, and our data is trying to overfit that at this portion it is giving a different answer, at this portion it is giving different answer. That means data is trying to fit too much to our model is trying to fit too much to the training data, right? So it does not give us right prediction for the test data, right? So that's why we have overfitting here, right? So we have overfitting. Our data gets too fit for the value of k, low value of k. So we cannot take very much low value. And if I'll talk about underfitting, let's talk about k is equals to high. So what high value I can take? Let's suppose we have 200 data points, so I can take the value at max 200. If I have taken 200, so out of this data set I'll find out. So if I have taken k is equals to 200, let's suppose if I'll plot this data, right? So I have this data set. Now what would happen? So let's suppose out of this I have 101 placed and 99 not placed, right? I know this already because of my training data. So if I have any query point, I'll take any point anywhere, it would classify as placed, right? That point would classify, because I'll take the nearest neighborhood, and nearest neighborhood k, nearest neighborhood k, the value of k is 200. That means all the data points I have taken, if I have taken all the data points, this is my k nearest neighbor, and in this nearest neighbor I already know I have 101 placed and 99 not placed. So I'll take any point possible on this data set on so I'll always get placed, right? So that means we haven't fit the data properly. We have so much bias in training process, right? So if I have error in my training process, then me training data, that means high and underfitting. If k is equals to high, then we'll get underfitting. Can I say that overfitting means here high variance? So that means if k is equals to low, I can say that k is equals to low, then we have high variance. K is equals to high, k is equals to high value if I have taken, then we have high bias. So just remember this, because I'm going to ask you questions based on that. Okay, guys, we'll do questions later on after this slide. Just tell me if anything is not clear. If it is clear, just give me a quick thumbs up in the chat section. Then we'll move forward to questions. And guys, before moving forward, please like the session. Just give me a quick thumbs up in the chat section, guys. Okay, so let's discuss questions. So this is a question, what is the effect of increasing the value of k in knn on the bias and variance of the model? So just tell me guys, just let me know the answer for this question. We already discussed that. I just want to know that you guys got this question or not. So you can see that we know that k is equals to low. Okay. If we'll take k is equals to low, that means overfitting. Overfitting. And k is equals to high, that means underfitting. Underfitting. That means high variance, high bias. Right? High variance and high bias. Right. So that means if I'll increase the value of k, bias would increase and variance decrease, right? So that means option A is correct. Right? Easy question because we have already discussed about the overfitting and underfitting thing. That's why it's easy. Now let's see next question. So this is a question. It says that consider a data set with following 3 data points in a 2-dimensional data set. What is the predicted class of a new data coordinate? If k is equals to 2, predicted class of a new data point 3, 4. What would be the predicted class using the Euclidean distance metric? Just let me know, guys, what would be the predicted class here? 3, 4. So there may be a possibility either the student would get one predicted category, or if I'll get 1 and 2, because k is equals to 2. If I'll get b and c is nearest neighbor, then I do not know which would I can classify. So let me know how you are going to classify. So that means I'll find out this 3, 4 distance with 2, 3. That means distance of A, distance with A. 3, 4 distance with 2, 3. So how do I find out? 3 minus 2 square plus 4 minus 3 square. That means square root 2. With B point, 4, 6 and 3, 4. That means 4 minus 3 square and 6 minus 4 square. That means square 1 plus 4. That means square root 5. If I'll find out distance with 5, 2. 5, 2 and 3, 4. 5 minus 3 ka square plus 2 minus 4 ka square. That means 2s are 4, 4, 8. Square root of 8. So I can see that A and B are closer to 3, 4. If A and B are closer to the point 3, 4, that means A and B are its nearest neighbor. And why I am taking 2 points? Because they have already given me the value for k is equals to 2. The value of k is 2. So I can see that these 2 points are closer because this distance is less. So A and B are its nearest neighbor. And if I'll see the points, they are both classifying as 1. So predicted class is 1. Right answer, guys. So we get the predicted class as 1. Now, okay, so can KNN algorithm be used for a regression problem? This is another question, guys. Can KNN algorithm be used for regression problem? तो क्या होना चाहिए इसका आंसर? लेट्स सपोज समवन आस्क इन द इंटरव्यू, तो अभी तक आपने जितना पढ़ा कि क्या इसको रिग्रेशन में यूज कर सकते हैं? यूजुअली हम लोग क्लासिफिकेशन के लिए यूज करते हैं, लेकिन आप इसको रिग्रेशन में यूज कर सकते हो. तो लेट्स सपोज आपने k इज इक्वल्स टू 5 डिसाइड किया, 5 नियरेस्ट नेबर मिल गए, उनका k इज इक्वल्स टू 5 डिसाइड किया मैंने और मेरे पास 5 नियरेस्ट नेबर्स आ गए, तो उनका जो भी y वैल्यू है उनका क्या ले लो? एवरेज ले लो. एवरेज ले लो, वो मेरा क्या हो जाएगा, उसका प्रेडिक्टेड वैल्यू हो जाएगी। we can use KNN algorithm for a regression problem. What I have to do, अभी तक मैं क्या कर रही थी, k is equals to 5 मिल रहे थे, तो उसमें से जो भी 5 पॉइंट्स में से जो भी ज्यादा कैटेगरी के पॉइंट्स थे वो कैटेगरी क्लासिफाई कर रही थी। अभी मेरे को 5 पॉइंट्स मिले, सबका आउटपुट लो, लेट सपोज a प्लस b प्लस a b c d e उनका आउटपुट है, उनका क्या करो, एवरेज निकाल लो। ठीक है, तो एक्सट्रीम केसेस में हाँ तुम KNN को भी रिग्रेशन के लिए यूज कर सकते हो, राइट। चलिए आगे बढ़ते हैं। नेक्स्ट थिंग इज एप्लीकेशन ऑफ KNN, इमेज रिकॉग्निशन। अब इमेज रिकॉग्निशन में कैसे हेल्प करेगा KNN? लेट सपोज वी हैव बर्ड्स एंड वी हैव डिफरेंट टाइप्स ऑफ एनिमल्स, तो उनकी शेप और साइज से ये पता लगा लेता है इमेज रिकॉग्निशन। तो उसमें हम क्या यूज करते हैं, KNN एल्गोरिथम का। रिकमेंडेशन सिस्टम, वही के नियरेस्ट नेबर्स देख के आपका आपके पास वाले लोगों का देखेगा कि क्या रिकमेंड किया है, क्या उन लोगों ने खरीदा है, किस तरीके के आइटम्स के साथ क्या खरीदा, उनको क्लब करके आपको रिकमेंड कर देता है। दैट्स व्हाई दैट इज माय एप्लीकेशन। एंड टेक्स्ट क्लासिफिकेशन, टेक्स्ट को भी क्लासिफाई करते हैं। सो दीज आर द एप्लीकेशंस ऑफ KNN एल्गोरिथम। Okay, so guys, that's all. Okay, there is one more question. What would be the relationship between the training time taken by 1NN, 2NN, and 3NN? Let me know the answer for this question, guys. I think this is the last question. Just let me know answer for this question. Guys, it is saying what would be the relationship between the training time. क्या ट्रेनिंग टाइम होता है KNN का? KNN में तो ट्रेनिंग कुछ होती ही नहीं है। KNN में क्या ट्रेनिंग होती है? कोई ट्रेनिंग नहीं होती है। टेस्टिंग के टाइम टाइम पे काम चलता है। कोई क्वेरी पॉइंट आएगा, मैं उसके के नियरेस्ट नेबर्स लूंगी, क्योंकि जब तक मेरे को क्वेरी नहीं मिलेगी, अगर मेरे पास क्वेरी से पहले मुझे कुछ ट्रेनिंग करनी ही नहीं है, तो दैट मीन्स सब में सेम टाइम यूज होता है। तो ऑप्शन 3 इज करेक्ट, राइट। सो गाइस, दिस इज अ ट्रिक क्वेश्चन, तो यू आपको समझना होगा कि किस इस तरीके के क्वेश्चंस एक्सपेक्ट किए जाते हैं आपसे, कि आपको ये ट्रिक के क्वेश्चन समझ में आने चाहिए कि अब ट्रेनिंग तो हो ही नहीं रही है ना, लेजी लर्निंग टेक्निक बोल दिया, बता दिया ट्रेनिंग नहीं हो रही है, तो टेस्ट में सारा काम हो रहा है। तो दैट्स व्हाई ऑप्शन 3 इज करेक्ट। Okay, so I hope that thing is clear. Okay, there is another question, guys. How, when you find many noises in the data set, which of the following option would you consider in KNN? अगर नॉइजेज हैं, दैट मीन्स वी हैव सो मेनी आउटलायर्स, तो इंक्रीज कर देंगे द वैल्यू ऑफ के। इफ आई इंक्रीज द वैल्यू ऑफ के, इंक्रीजिंग द वैल्यू ऑफ के, देन दैट वुड वर्क। ठीक है, लेट सपोज मेरे पास 3 आउटलायर्स आ रहे हैं, तो अगर मेरे पास 7 और 9 वैल्यू हो के की, तो दैट मीन्स वो 3 आउटलायर्स जो हैं वो बहुत ही मिनिमल रिएक्ट करेंगे। तो इंक्रीजिंग द वैल्यू ऑफ के हम नॉइजेस को केटर कर सकते हैं, बट एक हद तक। लेट सपोज के की वैल्यू तुम 1000 ले रहे हो, लेकिन उसके बाद ही मतलब बहुत ही ज्यादा आउटलायर्स आ रहे हैं, तो फिर हम काम नहीं कर सकते हैं। ठीक है, इस केस में इंक्रीज द वैल्यू ऑफ के। Okay, guys, this was a question from GATE 2024. You guys answer this question. GATE 2024 का question है, just let me know कि कैसे solve करना है इसको। Given the two-dimensional data set consisting of 5 data points from 2 classes, circles and squares, assume that the Euclidean distance is used to measure the distance between 2 points. The minimum odd value of k in key nearest neighbor algorithm for which diamond shape point is assigned the label square is. हम वो k की वैल्यू क्या लें कि इस पॉइंट को डायमंड असाइन हो जाए? What would I take the value for this k? जीरो असाइन करेंगे तो कैसे इसको स्क्वायर डिफाइन करूंगी? के मतलब कोई नियरेस्ट नंबर नहीं ले ही नहीं रही हूँ, तो मतलब मैं कैसे पता लगाऊंगी ये कितने सर्कल्स है और कितने स्क्वायर? तो जीरो पे तो काम नहीं करेगा। टेल मी गाइस, ट्राई टू थिंक अबाउट इट। देखो, सबसे पहले अगर के की एक वैल्यू लेते हो तो क्या आएगा, ऐसे सोचो, के की एक वैल्यू ली तो ये नियरेस्ट नेबर है, ऑब्वियसली। अभी तो ये क्या होगा, एक नियरेस्ट नेबर लिया, इसमें मैंने देखा कि वो पॉइंट कैसे क्लासिफाई हो रहा है, सर्कल, तो इस पॉइंट पे सर्कल क्लासिफाई हो जाएगा, तो दैट मींस इट्स नॉट वर्किंग। मैं क्या करूंगी, इंक्रीज करूंगी वैल्यू ऑफ के। मैंने क्या किया, के को 2 ले लिया। चलो के को 2 लिया तो 2 लेंगे तो मैं क्लासिफाई नहीं कर सकती, क्योंकि ये भी पॉइंट आ रहा है, ये भी पॉइंट आ रहा है, तो के को 3 ले लो। 3 लिया तो ये तीनों पॉइंट आ गए। ठीक है, अभी इस केस में भी, अभी मैंने क्या लिया, के को 3 लिया। इस केस में भी 2 सर्कल्स हैं और 1 स्क्वायर है। अभी भी अगर मैं क्लासिफाई करूं तो ये पॉइंट सर्कल ही क्लासिफाई होगा। मैं क्या कर रही हूँ, मैं चलो 4 पॉइंट्स ले रही हूँ। चलो 4 पॉइंट्स ले लिए, क्योंकि मिनिमम से शुरू करो, क्योंकि ये बोल रहे हैं मिनिमम ऑड वैल्यू ऑफ के क्या चाहिए तुम्हें। तो मैंने क्या किया, के को 4 लिया। नहीं, स्क्वायर रूट ऑफ एन कैसे काम करेगा यहाँ पे, के को 4 लो। अभी 4 लेंगे तो क्या होगा, ये वाले चारों पॉइंट्स आ जाएंगे। ठीक है, अब ये चारों पॉइंट्स आए तो 2 स्क्वायर है, 2 सर्कल है, अभी भी क्लासिफाई नहीं हुए, क्योंकि अभी भी मैं क्लासिफाई नहीं कर पा रही हूँ, स्क्वायर डालू, इसको सर्कल डालू, तो वो भी नहीं हुआ। फिर मैं क्या करूँ, के को 5 ले लो। के को जब 5 लिया तो पांचों के पांचों पॉइंट्स मेरे नेबरहुड में आ गए। दैट मीन्स ये सारा पॉइंट मेरा नेबरहुड बन गया। तो अब इसमें से क्या हुआ, 2 सर्कल्स मिले और 3 स्क्वायर्स मिले। तो इसमें क्या क्लासिफाई हो जाएगा, अब क्योंकि मैक्सिमम स्क्वायर्स है तो अब स्क्वायर क्लासिफाई होगा। तो दैट मीन्स के की वैल्यू मुझे कितनी लेनी है, के की वैल्यू मुझे 5 लेनी है। ठीक है, तो दैट्स व्हाई द वैल्यू ऑफ के वुड बी 5 हियर। लेट मी नो गाइस इफ दिस थिंग इज क्लियर। किसी को कोई भी कंफ्यूजन है इस क्वेश्चन में कि के की वैल्यू 5 कैसे आई, प्लीज आस्क। Otherwise, guys, that's all from my side for KNN. In the next session, which will be on Friday at 5 p.m., we are going to discuss naive base and we are going to discuss questions based on that. ठीक है, तो हम लोग फ्राइडे को नेव बायस डिस्कस करेंगे, उसकी पूरी एल्गोरिथम, उसकी पूरी रनिंग, उसके किस तरीके क्वेश्चन बन सकते हैं, वो सब डिस्कस करेंगे फ्राइडे को 5 p.m. Okay, so that's all from my side. Okay, I have to repeat the last question. ओके, सो क्वेश्चन मैं आपको थोड़ा समझाती हूँ, इसमें करना क्या है, इस डायमंड शेप को क्लासिफाई करना है एज अ स्क्वायर। उन्होंने बोला डायमंड स्क्वायर में क्लासिफाई हो रहा है। मेरे पास 2 कैटेगरीज है, सर्कल और स्क्वायर। डायमंड मेरे को बोल रहे हैं कि स्क्वायर में क्लासिफाई हो रहा है, तो क्या के की वैल्यू होनी चाहिए, मिनिमम वैल्यू ऑफ के, कम से कम वैल्यू ऑफ के क्या होनी चाहिए कि जो डायमंड है ये स्क्वायर में क्लासिफाई हो जाए। तो मैंने क्या किया, मिनिमम बोल रहे हैं, मैं 1 से शुरू हो गई, 0 तो ले ही नहीं सकती, तो मैंने क्या किया, 1 से शुरू किया। जब मैंने 1 लिया तो ये पॉइंट आया। अब ये किस में हो रहा है, एक पॉइंट है और वही सर्कल है, तो दैट मीन्स ये डायमंड पॉइंट सर्कल में क्लासिफाई हो जाएगा। अब क्या किया, तो काम ही नहीं कर रहा है मेरे को, क्योंकि स्क्वायर में क्लासिफाई करना है। के 1 तो काम नहीं कर रहा है, के मैंने क्या किया, 2 कर दिया बढ़ा के। अब 2 किया तो ये वाला भी पॉइंट आ रहा है, क्योंकि इससे भी उतना ही पास है, इससे भी उतना ही पास है, तो 2 भी काम नहीं कर रहे, क्योंकि ये दोनों में आ जाएगा। तो मैंने क्या किया, के को 3 कर लिया। अब जब मैंने के को 3 किया, उसमें क्या हुआ, ये तीनों पॉइंट्स आ गए। अब जैसे के को 3 किया, तीनों पॉइंट्स आ गए, इसमें 2 सर्कल है, एक स्क्वायर है। अब मैंने बताया था कि भाई मैक्सिमम जो भी हो रहा है उसको उससे क्लासिफाई कर दो। तो डायमंड के पास 2 सर्कल है, एक स्क्वायर है। अब 2 सर्कल ज्यादा हुए ना, तो दैट मीन्स डायमंड को क्लासिफाई कर देंगे एज सर्कल। बट क्वेश्चन में क्या था कि डायमंड को क्लासिफाई करना है एज अ स्क्वायर और तब बतानी है के की वैल्यू। तो दैट मीन्स ये के की वैल्यू भी काम नहीं कर रही है। अब क्या करूंगी, के की वैल्यू को 4 कर दिया। चलो के की वैल्यू को 4 कर दिया, के की वैल्यू को 4 किया तो ये 4 नेबरहुड्स आ गए, 4 पॉइंट्स आ गए। अब इसमें क्या है, 2 सर्कल 2 स्क्वायर। भाई हमने तो 2 सर्कल और स्क्वायर, पहली बात तो ऑड वैल्यू ऑफ के बोला है, तो मुझे 4 को चेक करने की जरूरत ही नहीं है। चलो 4 को चेक करती ही नहीं हूँ, 3 हो नहीं रहा था, 1 भी नहीं हो रहा था, 5 कर लेते हैं। जब के को 5 लिया, सारे पॉइंट्स आ गए। और अब क्या हुआ, इसमें 3 स्क्वायर 2 सर्कल, तो मैक्सिमम क्या हो गए, स्क्वायर हो गए। तो दैट मीन्स वो डायमंड कैसे स्क्वायर में सेटिस्फाई हो जाएगा। व्हेन टू टेक स्क्वायर रूट एन एंड एक्सपेरिमेंटल। देखो, वैसे तो हम मैक्सिमम टाइम एक्सपेरिमेंट्स ही करते हैं। स्क्वायर रूट एन वो इस तरीके से होता है कि आप शुरुआत स्क्वायर रूट एन से कर सकते हो, उसके पास ही आता है। जैसे आप 5 का देखो, 5 का स्क्वायर रूट क्या होगा, 5 पॉइंट्स है, लेकिन यहाँ पे ना क्वेश्चन कुछ और तरीके से पूछा गया था। हम मैक्सिमम टाइम एक्सपेरिमेंट से ही करेंगे। स्क्वायर रूट ऑफ एन हमको तब लेना है जब हम अपनी नोटबुक में, मतलब आप कोड वोड कर रहे होते हो, जब आपको टाइम ऑप्टिमाइज करना होता है। अब इसमें तो बहुत ही कम डेटा पॉइंट्स है ना, हम एक्सपेरिमेंट करके फाइंड आउट कर सकते हैं। स्क्वायर रूट एन जब बहुत सारे डेटा पॉइंट्स हो तब भी हम लोग यूज करते हैं। ठीक है, जस्ट लेट मी नो गाइज इफ दिस थिंग इज नाउ क्लियर और नॉट। Just tell me guys if this thing is clear. Okay. Okay, so that's all from my side guys. If there is, do we have any offline classes? या यहाँ पे हमारे पास ऑफलाइन क्लासेस गेट की चल रही है, जो कि आप लोग अभी देख भी रहे हो, जो कि कैलकुलस की अभी चल रही थी और आपने मुझे बताया। तो वो हमारी ऑफलाइन क्लासेस भी हो रही है और उसी को हम यूट्यूब पे भी ले जा रहे हैं, कुछ सब्जेक्ट्स की अभी स्टूडेंट्स के लिए। Okay, so that's all from my side, guys. Thank you. Okay, so that's all from my side. Thank you.